this is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top here!
Oh my god! Oh. Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
This is very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Round 3 takes us to Japan, to the land of the rising sun, and we head to the Okayama International Circuit. Last week saw some phenomenal racing with Scotty McQueen and Jackson Harlow exchanging the lead numerous times in the closing laps of the feature race. Will we see that battle resume today? Or are the long straights going to allow someone else to slingshot themselves into contention for the win? Let's find out live on Simspeed TV. My name is Ryan Jones, alongside me is Cameron Dance, and Jay Kennedy is behind the scenes. Let's take a closer look then at this 3.7 kilometre racetrack with Cam Dance.
Yeah, certainly. It's a very technical circuit, actually. Very, very characteristic compared to the Lime Rock Park that we were at last week, which was a handful of right-hand turns and one single left-hander. So there's a few more turns to this track, and obviously two very good opportunities for drafting as well, especially down the back straight, which is relatively long leading into a hairpin. So it's an awesome track to drive on, and yeah, can't wait for the racing.
Yeah, it should be another fantastic affair, this one. 11 corners in length, so definitely a lot more to work with here than we had at Lime Rock. But we have a massive back straight as well. We have a pretty decently long front straight too. So we could see some trains starting to form up and down this field as drivers fail to get away from each other enough through the corners to break that slipstream. Another thing to note, last week we saw a 3-lap qualifying session that has returned tonight as a bit of a trial to see how it goes on the longer track. So these drivers have got 3 attempts today to get it done, and we will see whether that has any sort of impact on the qualifying signs as we're on board now with Darren Whittington for the TD Sport machine, making his way up into turn 4 onto the hairpin, and the exit to this one is absolutely crucial because it backs on, or it leads on, to that massive straight. And Cameron's disappeared. So if we stay on board down, still on board on that back straight, and then into this hard braking zone for turn 5, get the car turned in. Don't let it slide out too much because you've got to get it back to the right hand side for the racing line. Through turn 6 and then into turn 7. This is a part of the track everyone will be very familiar with because we do see in a lot of the lower down series like the Rookie Series MX-5s, the short course is often used, and this is basically that course as Darren Whittington gets a bit of the grass on entry, and it is so easy to do here because you're trying to maximize. It's easy to do on any track. You try to maximize every little piece of the road. It's so easy to catch a piece of the grass.
Yeah, certainly, and it's like you said, very easy. And around this sort of track, there's no real room for error. You don't have massive tarmac runoff areas or any sort of astroturf to sort of save you. It's really all about just making sure that you can keep all 4 wheels on the black stuff and not end up touching the grass. As like Darren showed, it's just very easy to go around.
Jay Hansen is 3/4 of the way through his lap, making his way past seeing Darren Whittington spin with relative ease, trying to use up all the track, just struggling with a bit of oversteer on the entry there. Finally gets it turned in, and the oversteer turns into understeer very quickly with this car. Front wheel drive, of course, makes it incredibly difficult to drive through some high speed corners where you're trying to get the power down as early as possible. Like that one there, you've really got to be as patient as you can while getting it down as quickly as you can, and you'll come across the line. Jay Hansen, for his first lap time, a 1:38.3 puts him up into 14th or 15th place now as another driver pops up ahead of him. Currently fastest is Dominic Ferraris by about 2 tenths per second from Scotty McQueen. What we saw in practice was an incredibly tight session with just a few hundredths separating the top 4 or so drivers. Whether we'll see some more of that today remains to be seen. Still 5 minutes left in the session. Still plenty of time to get in a couple more efforts.
Yeah, certainly a few more drivers yet to complete all their laps, and a few more times also starting to come through as well. The likes of Ashley Norman and a couple of others are just coming around the circuit. Have just done a second lap of their lap. It looks like majority of the field is either on their second or finishing their second lap or being on their third lap, as Thomas Sins has also just gone straight to P2.
Hims, the championship leader, trying to recover after a slightly lackluster round 2, defending his championship lead. Still retained it though, and we'll be hoping to have a stronger result here today. As Scotty McQueen puts himself to the forefront with a 1:36.542, goes 0.08 of a second clear. And Mitch Dean also put himself into third. Mitch Martin puts himself into third now. And the times at the top starting to close up quite quickly as Bruce Ross is going to come across the line. Currently in 33rd for the Pulse Racing team. Puts in a 1:38.3, finds almost 2 seconds, goes up to 27th. Big improvement from him.
Yeah, quite a few improvements actually from majority of the field as well. The likes of Jackson Susan Harlow, Dean Ross, Rob Carmichael, and a few others as well. So starting to see some proper sort of times coming in. Jay Hansen has also just done a lap, although he's currently, unfortunately, all the way down in 14th, but on a third lap now. So see what he can possibly do. Didn't go too bad as Ryan Jerick has also gone to P2 for the moment. It's really, really close actually at the top there.
That is, what's that, 17 thousandths of a second there between the top two as Dominic Ferraris takes an extravagant line down the main straight. Currently third fastest with 1:36.622 and can't improve on that lap. That's his qualifying done. As we look back now to the Chicken Up Racing Machine, Mitch Dean up in 5th place. That's a brand new livery for that team, the debut of their 2020 racing livery, painted by, give me a second and I'll just quickly grab that one on my phone. But it is a good looking livery, that one.
Yeah, it's actually quite a nice livery. I saw it early in the week on social media, and it was actually quite a surprise to see compared to what they are. So yeah, props to the guys for getting that thing really, really nice looking, and can't wait to see it in action tonight.
Painted by Simrace Designs. So I guess if you want a good looking paint like Chicken Up Racing, check out Simrace Designs. As Dean Ross is in 10th place. 37.0 is his qualifying effort that lap, and it's not quick enough to improve on what is now 11th place. As another driver continues to improve as we watch one of the XG Motorsports machines and their distinctive liveries make its way around the long hairpin, but looks a bit that was Reese Gardner now making his way for Fusion Sim Racing onto the main straight. 17th place for him. Currently a 37.435, his best effort so far. His final lap is a 36.8, finds a big improvement, goes up to P9. And Ryan Jerick just found a big improvement and goes quickest by 0.02 of a second.
Yeah, not a lot, and that's clear proof that these TCR cars are just unbelievably even between them in terms of raw lap time and speed. So it's unbelievable to think that there's that much time between first and second, and then even then it's just the rest of the times it's so close between every single position. Like, we're not even looking at tenths between each position. It's unbelievable.
It is. The series has been continuing to prove why it is quickly garnered a maximum capacity field. The racing here is incredibly good, incredibly tight. What about Mitch Martin? Currently 4th fastest. Can he improve and go to the top? He can't. He's 2/10 adrift on his final effort. He will stay on the outside of the second row, barring improvements from anyone else. Dean Ross trying out that pit entry. He'll need to know that and have that down pat ready for race 2. Cameron Cousins currently back in 34th position, trying to find an improvement. He's getting himself off the back row of the grid. Not going to find enough of an improvement, as I think that lap, in fact, was invalidated. And with just under 30 seconds left, I think that's most of the qualifying. Well, that is qualifying done. Everyone set their times. Let's go through the grid then for the sprint race for round 3. Ryan Jerick on pole for Eclipse Sim Sports. Scotty McQueen starts to his outside. Dominic Ferraris in 3rd with Mitch Martin 4th. Bailey Sweeney and Mitch Dean occupy row 3. Jacob Knight, Jackson Harlow 7th and 8th. Martin Turner and Reese Gardner line up from row 5.
Row 6 will be Thomas Hinds, followed by Daniel Tailwool, Dean Ross, and Hamish Cleland on row 7. Row 8 will be Ashley Norman and Nathan Anderson, Simon Mazomo, Rob Carmichael on row 9, and then rounding up the top 20 will be Jay Hansen. A quite
Evening, guys.
surprisingly low on the field, Bo
10-minute
Albert.
race now. No mandatory pit stop.
Yeah, surprising to see him all the way down there as well. Jason Markowski is in 21st, Thomas Sonderchun in 22nd. We're down 23rd is Hayden Veld, Cruz McVie in 24th, Ross Stalin and Darren Whittington 25th and 26th. 26th, not bad for Whittington after spinning on his first lap. Lenny Nobili starts 27th at RFLberg, Cameron Stubber, and the top 30 rounded up by Brock Cutto.
Running out the rest of the field will be Bruce and Sam Ross, followed by Mark Houston, Cameron Cousin, and David Leslie.
So that's the field then for round 3 of the Australian Turbo Touring Car iRacing Series, brought to you by Sinfinity and the RMS Race Management Service, created by Ira Felberg. The series and the track conditions 21 degrees, nice and cool, plenty of grip out on track, estimated race length just 7 laps. Of course, the format for each and every round of the series features 2 10-minute qualifying sessions. The first one that we just saw leading on to a 10-minute sprint race with no pit stop. The second one on the new server after this one, again 10 minutes long, and will lead on to a 20-minute feature race featuring mandatory pit stop for at least 2 tyres. But right now, they don't need to worry about getting into the pits. They just need to worry about getting this launch off the line and doing the best they can, going as hard as they possibly can for 10 short and what will surely be frantic minutes as the final cars start to grid up now, and we watch the gantry to wait for those red lights to come on. It's Jarek from pole, it's McLean from second, Ferraris and Martin lie in wait off the back of row 2. The timer hits 2 minutes, and we will be getting underway in just a moment's time. The green flag flies, and we're racing from Okayama, and what a start for Scotty McLean. And what about Ryan Jarrett going backwards? Dominic Ferraris is going to get himself ahead of Ryan Jarrett straight away as they filter their way through turn 1. This 36-car field trying to get through there cleanly. The first half of the field has gone through there pretty nicely, and it seems the rest of the field has done so too as they make their way through turns 2 and 3 and head towards the hairpin turn 4. There's a Altus Esports car going slowly. That's Jackson Harlow losing out a bit of ground, starting this one from 8th place. Finds a bit back through the hairpin as up in front of him, Mitch Dean and Martin Turner almost make contact with the Chicken Up Racing Machine cars as they head down this back straight for the final time. Ryan Jarrett is coming back and Dominic Ferraris.
Yeah, you can see he's trying to get it up the inside. Is he going to get the job done? It looks like he is, but Dominic Ferraris is going to hold it around the outside, bumping and barging there with a couple of cars actually off in the background there, but Ferraris managing to hold on to that position number 2 and looking further back. It's all going off.
That's messy. And off into the track and back on track is Rob Carmichael. How have they all missed that JP Simshed machine? Fantastic heads up drive from everyone involved. They're 3 wide onto the approach here, and around goes Jackson Susan Harlow in front of a number of cars. Ashley Norman has to take to the gravel trap in avoidance. May have actually got turned and ended up out there as the field has run into a bit of calamity in the second half of this lap. As further back, they're still trying to sort themselves out. This is down in the 20s. Lenny Nobili ahead of Ira Felberg in 26. That's a car off into the pit entry. Bo Albert is up into 18th place from his 20th position starting. So who's that getting chased right across the track on the main straight? Jay Hansen trying to fend off Simon Mizomo going up the inside. Ahead of them, Bailey Sweeney as well getting into a bit of strife with Reese Gardner, who's going around. Is he? No, he saves it, but he loses out to Sweeney. Probably going to lose out to Thomas Hins, who almost went straight up the back of him.
Yeah, it's just that easy to make a mistake. And still on cold tyres as well, with Jackson Susan Harlow trying to recover nearly 3 wide at one point. Runs a bit deeper now. That car of, I believe that's Jay Hansen, going to be up the inside from having a really good run. They're going to be actually 2 by 2 down at this back straight here.
What about Mitch Dean? He's got to run on both of them. Where's he going to go? Is he going to think about 3 wide? It looks like he's going to try and push Jackson Susan Harlow into the braking zone. They go. Hansen with the preferred line. Mitch Dean's going to get turned around and right in front of a big bunch of cars. He's caught 3 wide now, is on the outside of the track, and this is all very, very messy. He makes his way past Bo Albert, who's off in the weeds, losing a bit of time. At the back of this is Daniel Turley, Tommy Sonderchin, Hayden Veld's in there as well, and they're all trying to find position. This is an incredibly frantic race. It's what you expect from a sprint race, and almost turned around as Daniel Turl.
Yeah, it's all going off in this little mid-pack just outside the top 10. It's bumper to bumper the whole way down the field before you get spread out near the front. But Jackson Susan Harlow's managed to somehow recover a little bit after pretty much being side by side with Jay Hansen for a number of corners through that final sector. So he'll be trying to at least recover something out of this, at least the top 10, because that's going to hurt him quite a bit in the championship as well.
Let me take a moment to just catch my breath, as it seems that most of the field has finally sorted out a bit of the mess that they were in, as Darren Whittington has had to bring his machine down to pit road, as side by side once more Mitch Dean and Bo Albert making contact on the approach to turn 4. Albert trying to hold off Mitch Dean. Bo just struggling a little bit more than you would expect him to. Very talented driver, not quite as much experience in this particular car as some of the drivers around him, would explain why he's struggling just a bit now. As we go back to the front, Ryan Jarrett has just lost a spot to, who's that? To Jacob Knight. Or has he? Mish Martin has... I'm being fed wrong info, I reckon. Scotty McQueen's leading from Mitch Martin in second. Ryan Jarrett has sat in third. Ah, there we go. So Mitch Martin got by Ryan Jarrett. That's a change of position that's happened there between the two drivers who trying to chase down Scotty McQueen. He's got about a half a second to a second advantage over the pair of them. Jacob Knight is sitting there in 4th place. Martin Turner's in 5th and Dominic Ferraris in 6th. All involved in this train for the lead of the race. Dean Ross is in a land of his own in 7th. And then we go back to Lenny Novelli, who is turned around, facing the wrong way. Let's get a motor simulation replay up on screen. What's happened here, Simon?
There appears to... looks like it could have just been a bit of contact. Unfortunately, it's all so close at the moment in that side, that little group there. So probably just a little bit of contact has unfortunately happened where someone's tried to fit into a gap, and yes, indeed they have. So really unfortunate for Lenny there. He's actually not doing too well, so he's unfortunately had to bring it down into pit lane by the looks of it. But nevertheless, that battle further up the front is actually not looking too bad. Everybody's relatively close, actually.
Yes, they are, but there's a big train from about 10th on down. At the front of it, just out in front of it, I should say, Bailey Sweeney is getting by Dean Ross relatively easily there to take P7 away. And he'll try to chase down the 6th place driver of Dominic Ferraris just a little bit up the road from him and try and join that train for the lead. We've only got 3 minutes and 49 seconds left in this one. It really is not much time at all. If you are starting a bit out of position, you've really got to work hard to find quick ground. As Hamish Cleveland there watching some very close racing in front of him on the fringes of the top 20. Jason Markowski right behind Tommy Saunter Chin, coming under threat from Cruz McVie, who is currently 20th place, as they make their way on to the main straight now. And they will try to make something happen at the end of this main straight. Right in front of these guys is a little group of cars as well. Hayden Veld, Daniel Towell, and Simon Mizomo. Mitch Dean is still all over the back of Bo Albert, coming out of turn number 1. And this is a little pack of cars. A mistake for the front two between Dean and Albert could condense the next 6 cars onto their back bumper, as Bailey Sweeney and Martin Turner continue to go at it.
Yeah, they certainly... Dominic
Ferraris
is definitely trying to get his way up. He's looking like he's got some solid pace. There's actually a few drivers behind McQueen who actually have a little bit better pace, and Sweeney's actually one of those as well. So it will be interesting to see what might happen near the end of this race. There isn't too much longer left in this race, so might be a matter of running out of time, might see a possible mistake, who knows.
Oh, I just caught a bit of side-by-side action at the back. What about Jacob Knight? Goes for the late lunge up the inside. Can't quite get it done on Ryan Jarrett, but it looks like he's got the pace. He wants to find his way through. That's a car driving through the gravel, not through a choice, I would say. Martin Houston has run into trouble, Simon.
Yes, indeed, and it's looking very
minute.
close, but unfortunately, bit of contact there, and around here has gone.
Did I just call you Simon?
It did indeed for the second time.
I don't have an explanation for that.
Penalty for causing collision on
I'll
lap
go-
5, please serve next lap.
Ara Feldberg's just been given a penalty in his own series. If ever you want proof that there's no favoritism when you run a series, or at least when he runs a series, there you have it. That was for the contact we just saw. Let's gloss over Cameron's misname, shall we say, and go back to the action on track between Jarek, Jacob Knight, and side by side behind them, actually, in 8th place. Down the back straight is Dean Ross and Thomas Hinds. And Hinds has got the inside line. It's such a long straight. The car's almost run out of breath by the time they get down to the braking zone. You've got a lot of time to think about it. And Reese Gardner giving the hurry up to the back of Dean Ross there. He wants to get moving. I think Ross was setting himself up for a crossover move on Thomas Hinds, but I think Gardner put an end to that one. We'll see whether Reese can make his way by on the next lap, which will be the final lap of the race. They'll get the white flag when they come across the line. Out front, Scotty McQueen. He's not looking to challenge at the moment. He'll come around that final corner and take that white flag. And Mitch Martin has got a gap of about 1 second to somehow try and close. As you see in the background, there's an almighty battle going on for about 4th place on back. They're just a little way off Ryan Jarrett in 3rd. And Martin Turner is just a little bit off the back of Ferraris and Jacob Knight. But Ferraris is definitely looking like he's the one with the pace, and might be too much pace, almost getting into the left rear of Jacob Knight's XG Motorsports machine. Did a good job to check up in time. That was a mistake from Knight. Ferraris almost ready to pounce. What about the pounce there? A late defensive move from Knight. He cops the whack from Dominic Ferraris for his troubles. And I think that was a little bit cheeky from Jacob Knight there. That move was very, very late.
Yeah, it was quite late indeed, but it is the last lap, so he's going to make sure he gets that position, but Ferraris going to throw it right up the inside against the white line and going to manage to get ahead, but Knight's going to try hold it around the outside. Martin Turner and Bailey Sweeney are right there to take advantage, but Knight, bit of bumping and barging with Ferraris. They're going to be side by side, 2 by 2. In fact, is Sweeney trying to force the way up inside of Martin Turner, but it's probably just going to happen, whereas Knight and also Ferraris still going at it, bumping and barging. Is Ferraris going to send one? Not quite. Knight's going to go defensive, so it's probably fair to say that battle's done.
But out front, Scotty McQueen, no such troubles. He is going to win through the final corner. He's going to win. Sprint race here at round 3 at Okayama. The battle behind them will continue to rage across the line. Jacob Knight will hold on. He's just got to get to that start-finish line. Dominic Ferraris can't get close enough. Good battling all the way down throughout the field today. What a race we just saw. What about this? 3 wide back in the pack. What a run from Hayden Veld round the outside. Can he clean up totally too? No, he can't. That was a frantic finish from that mess of drivers. We'll have to try and get a replay up and see what quite happened there, because there was cars going very quickly, there was cars going very slowly, and I would say there was probably contact at the final corner.
Yeah, just looked like Mitch Dean gave Daniel Towell a little bit of a tap, which sent him a bit wide, and then checked everybody else up. And the run that Hayden Val got was unbelievable. He got 2 for 1 in the end. Crossed the line, didn't quite get the third one of Daniel Towell, but Simon Mazzomo just missing out against Mitch Dean. Oh no, he actually did get him in the end. So that was an unbelievably close little pack there.
And what a race. Let's go through the results then before we dissect that one, before we move into qualifying, and then race 2. We get to do it all over again. Cameron, And let's go through the results. Scotty McLean then, he took that win by 6 tenths in the end from Mitch Martin in second, Ryan Jerick in third, Jacob Knight, Dominic Ferraris were fourth and fifth, Bailey Sweeney coming home in sixth, and Martin Turner, Thomas Hens, Dean Ross, and Jackson Harlow.
Just outside the top 10, Reese Garner and Bo Albert for 11th and 12th. 13th, 14th, Jay Hansen and Daniel Towell, followed by Hadenfeld, Simon Zoma, and Mitch Dean after that. Incredibly close finish between that little pack. Tommy Saunter-Chun in 18th. 19th, Jason Markowski, and rounding out the top 20 is Cruz McVie.
Hamish Cleland came home in 21st place today, ahead of Brock Cutter in 22nd. Ashley Norman only 23rd after his 15th place starting spot. Arosh Salon came home in 24th. Cameron Stubber 25th, ahead of David Leslie, Bruce Ross, and Cameron Cousins. Nathan Anderson and Martin Houston rounded out that top 30.
Then rounding out the rest of the field will be Ira Felberg after that unfortunate penalty, Sam Ross, Rob Carmichael, Lenny Lone Billy after that contact earlier on, as then Darren Whittington rounding out the 35 car field.
Well, that was quite something. That was probably the best of the lot so far of the 5 races we've seen this season. The 6th race coming up in just a few moments' time. Let's go to a very quick ad break. We'll switch servers. We'll come back with qualifying for race 2.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them 4 abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
This is fantastic. This is GT Racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything else. Both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God. Oh. Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
6 very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go.
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Welcome back to the Australian Turbo Touring Car iRacing Series Round 3 at Okayama International Circuit. Just waiting for qualifying 2 to get underway for race 2. Let's try and dissect what just happened, Cameron, as that was quite a race, that one.
Yeah, it actually was. There was a lot of action actually through the entire field. We did say the track was quite technical and there was quite a few opportunities for passing, and well, that race definitely delivered and proved that. So yeah, can't wait for race 2, especially with this pit stop coming into it. So really gonna be interesting to see what we might or might not see. Obviously, race 1 was quite cold. Whether race 2 is going to be the same, not sure. We'll find out shortly. But regardless, if it is quite cold, it'll be interesting to see what sort of strategies we might see for pit stops and who stops when, whether most drivers pit early or most drivers end up just running it as long as they possibly can for the tyre heat.
Well, we look back to last week at Lime Rock Park. We saw a couple of interesting occurrences of a lot of drivers actually pitted on the first lap of the race. Of course, that track, a bit of an exception to the norm, or so to say, for the series, because it's such a short track that it was basically do or die. Pit on the first lap, or when you do pit, you'll be in traffic. So we should see some different strategies today. Maybe a lot more varied strategies, pit stops spread over the course of the race a bit more. Of course, you have a mandatory pit stop, so you're going to have to pit, and it's a minimum of 2 tyres. We don't expect to see anyone take 4, do we, Cam?
Don't think we will. It seems everybody has taken 2 tyres so far this season, so doubt that's going to change here at Okayama, and I don't think tyre was really all that major here either, so it's probably just going to be more about making sure that pit stops as quick as possible rather than trying to sort of make a guessing game as to what you sort of do for tyres.
Yeah, and unfortunately for us, we can't see what tyres go onto the cars. So the only way for us to find out is to ask them in the post-race interviews, which is a little bit of annoying. Maybe that's an update that iRacing can bring somehow. I don't know how they could implement it, but somehow let us know what tyres have gone onto the cars, because it would give us a lot more insight, wouldn't it? Obviously, we can say, well, they've taken 2 tyres, they're only stationary for like 10 seconds or whatever it is. But the difference between taking fronts, taking lefts, taking rights, it's massive, and it can really change the balance of the car, can't it?
Yeah, it certainly can. And obviously, in these TCR cars, it's front wheel drive. So the load through the tyre in the fronts, especially, is quite a lot higher than what you normally find if you're in a rear wheel drive, say, Formula 3 car or a V8 supercar or something that's got a lot of horsepower and usually chews the rears quicker than the fronts. So it's really all about just managing those fronts more than actually having to sort of worry about balance, because you don't want to burn them up too quickly and then you don't want to overheat them too quickly as well. That's the other problem that we sort of might have seen at Silverstone, where drivers were in qualifying really getting their fastest laps on the second lap, but not quite on the third, which was rather strange, which might have come down to the fact they were possibly heating them up too quickly earlier on than running them later on.
And we have finally got ourselves in to the second race. Just about a minute left to go in practice. Unfortunately, no one wanted to come and have an interview with us after race 1. Well, for future races, if you do well in the first race, come and jump in Discord between the 2 races. Give us something to talk about. Give us some insight into how the track's handling. And, just come and have a chat, because we got nothing else to talk about, do we? No. On track then, the conditions are exactly the same as race 1, which means, in theory, we should see the same sort of racing. Only difference being it's a 20-minute race, not 10. In saying that, 20 minutes can often seem like it's shorter than 10 minutes. It's basically another sprint race.
Yeah, certainly. It's not that much longer, and from what we saw, it wasn't that many laps actually completed in 10 minutes. So pretty much just double that and double your fuel and away you go, sort of thing. So it's really going to be interesting to see what happens in this race and whether we might see some further battles, maybe some people fall away a little bit more. It's really going to be interesting to see what happens.
Certainly will be. Wonder if we'll see anyone different at the front. Some drivers really benefit from having a second race. They take a little while to get going, and so after the first race, they're feeling more confident in the car. They might qualify better. Drivers like Scotty McQueen, Jackson Susan Harlow, the other guys we often see at the front, they're at a level where they can get in the car and they're quick straight away. Some of the guys in the mid pack and further down the order, they're the guys that are really going to be loving this 2-race format, because after that first race, it's undoubtedly, if you have a good race, you have more confidence, you're going to go quicker in qualifying, barring mistakes.
Yeah, certainly. And that confidence boost is actually quite nice to have when you're sort of in that mid pack or trying to catch up to those top guys and not quite there, because you immediately know, well, second race coming up, I've got a decent pace here. So you go straight out there and just immediately know you're going to be in up there in some points. So yeah, it's really, really good to see the second race sort of mixing up the field a bit. And like we talked about previously, it's a second chance for people to make a mistake as well in qualifying. Like we've seen, there was a few drivers at Lime Rock Park in the second qualifying session who were quite a ways down the field and ended up really not being able to take advantage of the second amount of points.
And it is very crucial to perform well, because it's equal points payouts for both races. It may be double the length, but you still get the same payout as race 1. you need to perform well if you want to be a championship contender. Someone like Thomas Hins, he's consistent in both races. He might not have won in round 2. He didn't win in race 1. I don't know whether he's got the pace to win in race 2, but he's consistent. He performs well in both. Jackson Harlow, he missed out in race 1 last week, but in race 2, he was at the front all race long. Heems is leading the championship, Harlow's not. Consistency is often what wins you championships. 2-race format, it makes it quite a bit more difficult because you've got to do a quick reset in your mind too between the aggression of racing, other cars on track, and then just find a bit more finesse for qualifying.
Yeah, certainly. And like you said, consistency is the biggest thing in these sort of sprint races and also these short championships because you can't really afford a DNF and you can't really afford to lose points because there's obviously a small points gap in this series, but regardless, it's all about just consistently getting points at the end of the day. And even if you end up having a bad round and your rival ends up having one later on, you then don't even have to worry about it. But at the same time, you then realize everybody else is going to take advantage. So it's sort of a mix and match between making sure you can be at the pointy end and pushing hard, but then at the same time making sure you're conservative enough to be finishing all the races and not having any issues at the end of the day.
And oftentimes, things happen that are completely beyond your control. Like a crazy light race like we saw in race 1 where an incident may happen 5 cars in front of you that you simply can't avoid because you're in a pack of 3 wide. And that's what we love about motor racing and sim racing as well. You never really know what's going to happen. You can't expect the normal things to happen when you go racing and sim racing because there's so much going on out on track. There's so many variables as well in each driver's different setup that sometimes it's unexplainable what happens out there. Hopefully we see some, not unexplainable, but some wild and exciting things in this one.
Yeah, certainly. It's all really strange as we're actually starting to see first set of times Bailey Sweeney to the top currently with a 37.321. I say that, and Thompson's actually goes quicker with the same time, and then we've got Harlow straight to the top, 2/10 quicker, and yeah, starting to see a nice flow of times.
So Jackson Harlow then is on pole at the moment by 0.2 of a second from Thomas Hins and from Bailey Sweeney, the exact same time. As Cruz McVee sits in 4th at the moment, Hamish Cleveland will come up and take that one away from him. Ryan Jarrett then, what's he going to do for Eclipse Sim Sports? His first qualifying effort is going to put him 5th. He'll be a little bit disappointed with that one. He'll want to go quicker in the next couple laps. They do. Ooh, Reese Gardner pops up to 2nd. 1.5 tenths away from Jackson High. That's a decent effort. What about Scotty McQueen? Someone that we should see at the front. Tim Grakoga goes to provisional pole. Scotty McQueen goes to 3rd. Where on earth has another 24 machine come from?
That's just unbelievable that Tim's just come out of nowhere and just put it straight on P1 like that. That's really, really good effort there by Tim in that Eclipse Sim Sports machine. So we'll see whether he can hold on to that position for the remainder of the sessions once everybody starts getting at their 2nd and 3rd laps. But it's pretty solid effort regardless.
It certainly is. There's a natural progression over the laps as the tyres warm up for the times to get quicker. So you need to remain on the ball all the way through to lap 3. Oftentimes, it's the 2nd lap that proves the fastest as the tyres do start to wear a bit by the 3rd. Bailey Sweeney's gone back to the top. Jackson Harlow's gone and lowered the barrier even further to a 36.599. Dominic Ferraris at 36.515. The times tumble and Ferraris falls on top of the leaderboard for now by 0.08 of a second from Harlow. It's a 1/4 of a second back to Sweeney. Mitch Martin, just a little bit of drift of that. Tim Grakoga finds himself back in 5th place, but he hasn't done his 2nd lap yet. Neither has Scotty McQueen. So these drivers still coming around to complete their 2nd lap. Tim Grakoga watching him through the final corner now, trying to get the pad down as early as you can. Don't run it off into the gravel. He's got that one pretty nicely, pretty smooth. What's the time going to be? Got to be to 36.875 to improve. Can he improve? No. No, he can't. I think he did exactly the same lap time.
I think you might be right, although he did move
Yeah,
up one
he
position.
moved up by 0.02 of a second, and that's why I was slightly confused, because the lap time was near on identical. He did move up one spot though. But very consistent lap times for Tingo Koga then. Scotty McQueen went to second, just 17 thousandths adrift.
Yeah, very, very close between McQueen and Ferraris at the moment. And then even back to Harlow as well, it's very, very close between those top three. Not even the 10th, but after I say that, Bailey Sweeney straight to the top with 36.475.
That's a good lap from Sweeney. That came off his final lap of the session. The first driver to do so, Jackson Susan Harlow lowers the barrier. Dominic Ferraris lowers it again. And it continues to be a dance at the top as the pole position changes hands every couple of seconds. It currently lies in the hands of Dominic Ferraris. Reece Garner's back in 10th place. Can he spring a surprise as he makes his way down the main straight? No, he can't. So, Scotty McQueen, has he completed his third lap yet? No, he hasn't. So, watch out for him on his final attempt. Where's he going to place in all of this? Tim Grakoga as well is coming around the final corner just a bit ahead of him on track. So we'll follow Grakoga first. He's going to come across the line, try to beat a 36.852. Currently 11th, puts himself up into pole position. Scotty McQueen, what's he got? He goes to pole, and the times tumble, and Scotty McQueen has pulled the hat out of the bag there, or pulled the cat out of the bag, I should say, with a stunning effort. Jackson Susan Harlow is currently in 4th, and I don't think he's going to improve on this lap because it is his 4th lap of the session, Jay, who has decided. So we will find someone that could improve in the session as Harlow comes down to pit lane, confirms those suspicions of doing 4 laps in the session. Jason Markowski is down in 24th place. It seems like the duel at the top has settled, and at the end of it all, we've got the first half a dozen cars sorted, but still plenty to play for back in the pack. Simon Mizomo 27th at the moment, 37.876 is current fastest time. That's a big improvement. Go 17th.
Yeah, really solid lap there by Simon Mazzoma, and actually a really solid lap by Mitch Martin to go P2 as well. So pretty solid field at the moment. Well, field of times as well, as Cameron Stubber also comes across the line and goes to P20, but looks like pretty much everybody has done it their full laps by the looks.
Well, if the race is anything like qualifying, this ought to be a doozy. I don't know if my voice can handle it. Let's go through the grid then. Scotty McQueen, he took pole in a enthralling duel. Mitch Martin propped up late to go second. Tunga Koga will start third. What can he do at the front of the field? Dominic Ferrara starts 4th. Jackson Harlow 5th. Ryan Jarrett from 6th place. Bailey Sweeney and Jacob Knight line up off row 4. Bo Albert, a much improved second qualifying session, starts from 9th ahead of Martin Turner in 10th.
And we go back to row number 6, which will be Dean Ross and Mitch Dean, followed by Daniel Towell and Thomas Hinds on row 7. Row 8, Reece Gardner and Hamish Cleland on. Then we go back to Simon Mazomo and Hayden Veld on row 9, followed by Ashley Norman and Cameron Stubber rounding out row 10 and the top 20.
Garen Whittington starts 21st, Nathan Anderson from 22nd, Jay Hansen and Cruz McVie line up off the 12th row of the grid. Tommy Sona Chen and Bruce Ross 25th, 26th. The top 30 is rounded out by Jason Markowski, Lenny Nobili, Josh Sallon, Brock Cutter. The field rounded out by Ira Felberg, Martin Houston, David Leslie, Cameron Cousins, and Sam Ross. Cam, let's do this then. Who do you think is going to win this one? Who's your tip for the win?
Oh, this is hard because it's so close to the top. I mean, especially those top 4 where it's not even a 10th nearly. So, it's a hard call to make, but it's probably going to be one of those top 5. Could possibly be top 7, maybe top 8. We'll have to wait and see what might happen because, like we saw at Lime Rock Park, all sorts of drama happened throughout that race.
Well, race 1 was an absolute classic, one for the ages. We'll remember that one long into future seasons of this series. Season 2, of course, already confirmed to be in the works. So if you are watching on, you want to get involved and be on the track next season, make sure you go and like the Australian Turbo Touring Car iRacing Series Facebook page so you are the first to know when registrations open for Season 2 at the conclusion of Season 1. We've still got half of this season to go, and already in its inaugural season, it's been one of the best series that I've had the pleasure to commentate on. What is race 2 going to bring to us? We've still got just about 20 seconds till that timer rolls out, and the drivers will try to get these things off the line. They're very tricky cars to get off the line. Scotty McQueen, got to think about that launch, got to get it right. It's a decent run down to turn 1. Mitch Martin from second, Tim Gukoga from third. Further back, Ryan Jarrett had a shocker in race 1. He can't afford that, all the way back in 6th place this time. Bo Albert from 9th. He's got a lot less work to do this time as the green flag flies. We're underway. Another good conversion for Scotty McQueen off pole, and a very even start for the first 2 rows. Further back, aggressive defense from Jackson Harlow. As they go 3 wide behind him, Bailey Sweeney just avoids getting turned around as he is side by side with Ryan Jarrett. Jacob Knight behind them as Bo Albert trying to find a way through as well. Through the first 2 corners we go. Most of the top half a dozen, top 10 cars remain on change, side by side then between Jacob Knight and Bo Albert.
Yeah, very, very close at the moment. But I've just seen an incident further back in the field involving I believe that's Hamish Cleland. So he ended up in the wall, unfortunately. And there's a car off actually as well at the next corner, Bruce Ross. So a couple of cars getting it bumped around a little bit, but at the front of the field, it's really going off with everybody trying to find some sort of track position is now battle for the lead as well.
Round the outside, couldn't make it work. He's still got the inside, but McQueen throws that thing round the outside and holds on to the lead of the race. Mitch Martin is taking it to Scotty McQueen right now as a big train is formed in third behind Tim Gukoga going defensive. Dominic Ferraris trying to force the issue. Jackson Harlow looking for room, not going to find it behind them as Bailey Sweeney tries to find a gap and hits Harlow in the process. This is a big angry pack of cars. They have 3 wide further back and a big crash, and that's Jay Hansen in the fence. Another car involved was Jason Markowski. A big coming together between them on the approach to turn number 8. Let's take a look at the replay of this one, Simon.
Yeah, it's he's done it again.
Oh my god.
But yeah, Jay Hansen having an issue, incident with, I think it was Tommy Saunter-Chan at the corner before, and then unfortunately coming together as well at the following corner with Jason Markowski. So really unfortunate there for Jay Hansen. Showed very, very good pace in the series as well, but tonight just seems to not be his night. And it actually looks like there's a few drivers in the pits doing their pit stop. Markowski, Saunter-Chan, Whittington, and Mazomo all in the pits doing their mandatory pit stop.
So they have opted for the lap 1 pit stop, as we saw many people do last week. Up front, no one pitting from the top 10 though. So they are going to go a little bit longer at least than we saw last week. Back in third, Koga's coming under attack from Dominic Ferraris. Late on the brakes around the outside. He can't do it there, can he? No, he can't. Greg Koga will hold on and Ferraris slots back in ahead of Jackson Susan Harlow. As Bailey Sweeney is just lurking there in 6th place, trying to make some progress as this train of cars goes a long way back. All the way back probably to about 14th place. Then it's only a small gap to 15th. And then the train continues. This is a very big and angry pack. And it could be a recipe for disaster. Thomas Hins almost. Well, he did everything except hit the back of Dean Ross on the approach to that corner. It was very tight indeed as they make the way onto the main straight. And we're probably going to see a car in the fence. Who was that? It's someone from the top 10. It's Mitch Martin from 2nd place. He's found the fence. Was there contact with Scotty McQueen? We're going to have to get a replay up on screen and see what's happened there.
Yeah, it just looks like no contact at all, but just the very easiest thing to do at this track is just catch the grass on the outside and round it. Well, not quite around, but massive drift into the gravel trap on the outside of the final corner. He'll be absolutely fuming with himself. He even made contact with the fence a little bit as well. Not sure if he's going to have big damage or not, but nevertheless, he'll be absolutely gutted to have made that mistake. So that will promote, I believe, Tim Gockringer into P number 2 for us in the third, Susan Harley into fourth, and Sweeney into fifth. So top 7 or 8, top 8 actually, probably all within a chance of winning this race actually.
Well, not if Kuga continues to drive this line. Oh, Dominic Ferraris! What a save that was! Harley's going to try to capitalise, throwing his machine down to the inside. Not going to be able to clear him. They're going to go side by side and make contact, and into the fence goes Jackson Harlow. Back on track goes Ferraris, collected by Jacob Knight. And they finally come to arrest his mate. Knight! Oh, no! And around goes Anderson. That was poor from Knight. Very poor indeed. And Anderson, an innocent bystander in that. He's collected the fence in a big way. And that was a big, big incident.
An absolutely massive one. A few cars involved. Unfortunate for Harlow especially, and Ferraris, who just got absolutely cleaned up by Jacob Knight. So really unfortunate. It's just so close that this sort of thing is so easy to have happen. It just looks like Ferraris didn't quite end up getting enough, well, having enough room to come back on. So really unfortunate, but this will help Mitch Martin as well, because after having a few cars now all over the place and probably with quite a bit of damage, it'll help him recover some positions after that, what he lost on lap 2.
Yes. Well, this is picked up exactly where race 1 left off. And as it all shakes out, Scotty McQueen leads by 1.2 seconds from Tim Grakoga, who last time by was quicker and is continuing to gain on this lap. So he's found a bit more pace in that machine, and he's visibly closer as they make their way through the final sector of the track. So Grakoga's found a bit of pace in that machine. The pressure's been released from the back of him. He can not worry about defending for a little while now. Bailey Sweeney's popped up into 3rd, Jarek 4th, and Bo Albert's up into 5th. And the leading car of everyone that's pitted is Reese Gardner. Now, I wonder how that one's going to shake out. A lot of these drivers that pitted early, they're probably going to find a big gain, because it's been all going on at the front. And there have been a lot of checkups in all of that. And car 15, as you can probably hear, Jackson Susan Harlow has been given a drive-through penalty for not leaving racing room, deemed to be the instigator in that big incident we saw just a lap or so ago, and he will come down to serve that immediately. Just gets it stopped before the cones.
Yeah, it looks, get a replay real quick of something that's happened to Gert Roger. It looks like he, oh, don't tell me he's done the exact same thing, or only not as bad as Mitch Martin in the final corner.
Copy that.
You're making it too easy for Scotty McQueen, guys. He's just going to run away with this one. He must be looking in his mirrors, absolutely astounded at what he's seeing. It showed, though, the level of skill that McQueen's got to drive that car to that speed without making a mistake that Grakoga and Mitch Martin have both made behind him. Bailey Sweeney's lapping quicker, but he's 2.7 seconds adrift. Martin Turner is back in 6th place behind, or just in front of Dean Ross, I should say. These two just a bit behind Bo Albert, and Grakoga rejoined in 4th. Didn't lose too much time. But boy, oh boy, that corner is proving troublesome today.
So car 30, there you go, from race control. Unfortunately, receiving a drive-through penalty for an incident. Nathan Anderson, by the looks of it. So unfortunate there for Anderson with that incident there. But also looks like Goat Krigger's coming into pit lane to get his pit stop out of the way. So it'll be interesting to see where he'll pop out in relation to Reese Gardner as well. Because remember, Reese is the leading car that has pitted. So this will really be something to watch, as Reese is actually just coming through the double left now at the end of the lap.
So this is going to be very interesting until this works out. Bo Albert just set the quickest lap time of the race. It was a 36.518. Scotty McQueen did a 36.596. It was a 36.7 for Sweeney, a 36.7 for Ryan Jerrick. Reese Gardner, that in the field, did a 37.4, so it doesn't look like it's going to be in contention for the race lead, but should find a little bit of a gain here based off a few of the guys he was racing before he pitted. Tires are just becoming up to temperature now, 36.9, so about 0.4 seconds off those guys running at the front of the field.
Yeah, looks like Gockring has obviously beaten Reese Gardner out of pit lane, but interestingly enough, Reese actually had slightly quicker stop in general, so not quite quick enough to end up catching up to Gockringer, but looking at the gap, it's relatively actually quite close, so Reese could be with a really, really good result here tonight.
He really could be. There's a lot of drivers that haven't pitted yet, that once they take that, Scotty McLean has come down into pit lane, and he's the first of the drivers from the front to pit. Is he followed by anyone? Sweeney doesn't opt to. Albert doesn't opt to. Jarrett does. Turner does. Toll stays out. Dean Ross almost lost it in pit lane. Veld stays out, and as does Ferraris. So about half of the cars from the top 10 have come down to pit lane, and now this is the money stop to see where these guys come out.
Yeah, it certainly will be. There's a few other cars just outside the top 10 that are yet to pit. One of them being Lenny Nobili, Sam Ross, and a couple of others. So we've got a replay here of David Leslie on board here as you just see a pit entry of Jay Hansen really being wild, and David Leslie ending up of shooting the second to last corner. Managed to somehow hold on to it, but yeah, that's just all sorts of wild from Jay Hansen on that pit entry.
So Scotty McLean is rejoined in the lead of the race provisionally. Tim Grakoga must have pitted last time by, I believe he did, and is somehow still, it seems, in a net second. Ryan Jarrett comes out just ahead of Reese Gardner, who's jumped Dean Ross and Martin Turner. So that is a big gain then for Reese Gardner. Damn.
Yeah, he's currently effective P4 at the moment, so really, really solid second race for Reese Gardner at this point. He's actually done quite well to keep it out of trouble, so it just goes to show that you don't have to be necessarily the fastest, but if you just keep it out of trouble, and like we've seen, that front pack just had all sorts of issues earlier on, so it's probably helped him quite a bit that there's been all sorts of going on at that front. He's just been able to put in some nice, clean and consistent laps.
Most of the field have pitted now. Just a few stragglers who haven't, who are opting to do an overcut strategy. Ira Felberg's run into some form of issue. He was one of the drivers that hadn't yet made a pit stop. And we just come back to live pictures. The top 9 have yet to pit. Scotty McQueen rejoined in 10th place. So 9 cars still yet to pull that trigger. We'll see where they come out as further back in the pack. Mitch Martin are on board with him, or we were on board with him, as he has starting to put the pressure on Darren Whittington for 19th.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's all over the back end of that TD Sport Audi RS3 TCR car, and it's really, really close. Mitch Martin obviously was P2 at one point, but had that issue with the second to last corner, which his teammate did actually do the same mistake. So see if Mitch Martin's going to try and get the move done here down the front straight into turn number 1. Is it going to be close enough? He puts the nose out and sends it straight up the inside, but he's going to have a bit of challenge here as the car is going to hold it around the outside. Not quite going to be able to get it done, although not quite able to get it done, so we have to slot back in behind.
He'll be liking the idea of a move here into turn 4. Will Whittington opt to defend? No, he's just going to give him a bit of a push there as Mitch Martin. Didn't unsettle Whittington too much, but just letting him know he's there. He wants this spot. He should be in... We cut away from that one to a big battle and surely a big crash. What? How have they not... Oh, yep, there they go.
Oh, no,
nope,
oh, no.
Still haven't crashed. Oh, no, here we go. And that's Daniel Towell, who finds trouble. He was on track for a top 10 result here today. His pit stops put him in a very awkward spot. And this was messy, Cam.
Yeah, it certainly were. They were pretty much 3 wide heading into the apex of the corner. A big send from Chicken Up Racing car of, I'm not quite sure who that was, but then unfortunately Taylor making contact with the other one, and Simon Mazoma actually just in the background, very lucky to avoid any sort of contact. So good awareness there from Simon on track, who isn't in the commentary box as well. But anyway, nevertheless, it's looking like, actually, just looking at this front field, Reese Gunn has actually got some very solid pace. He's actually the quickest one of the top 4 at the moment.
He is indeed. He's looking very strong right now. Just having a look. So he did a 36.5 last time by. In front of him, Jarek did a 36.9. It was a 36.6 for Gokoga. A 37.3 for Scotty McQueen. Of course, his tyres are still coming up to temperature, as are Ryan Jarek's. But he's finding some inroads right now. He's about a second and a half of Jarek. He could potentially get there before his tyres come up to temperature, as 5 cars have yet to pit. Bailey Sweeney continues to stay out. Bo Albert stays out again. Where is Dominic Ferraris? He has stayed out. Lenny Nobili has stayed out. Ira Fellerberg has yet to reach pit entry. We'll see whether he opts to stay out. Although I don't think he's going to cycle or factor into the lead of this race, unfortunately. He's going to stay out. And there's just under 5 minutes remaining, so leaving it as late as they possibly can as the battle rages back into 21st. Jackson Susan Harlow well out of position. Just cleared Cameron Stubber. Tommy Santa-Chun is right behind him, as is Daniel Towell after his incident. Both of those drivers quicker than 20th place, so they'll be trying to find some quick inroads past Cameron Stubber here, and maybe try and follow through in Jackson Harlow's wake.
Yes, certainly. The two of them reasonably good pace tonight by the looks of it. Stubber's doing a pretty solid job to actually hold on to them at the moment, but it's like not that good of a run out of the final corner, so Santa-Chun is probably going to look at a move at turn 1 here, although looks like Stubber's possibly going to go defensive, in which he is. So 2 cars behind of Tal and Santa-Chun, not quite going to get the move done. We'll have to sit station for the time being.
So, Stubber still continues to hold on. We still keep our eye at the front. Sweeney again. Well, it's an interesting strategy. Of course, they don't have to worry about the losing time when the tyres come up to 10, because they're going to basically come out and then do 1 lap and come across the start-finish line. But in terms of drop-off and lap time drop-off, you would think they're losing a fair amount, as Dominic Ferraris finally comes down and pits. Lenny Nobili comes down and pits as well. Last time by, Bo Albert did a 36.6, Bailey Sweeney also did a 36.6, Scotty McQueen did a 36.6. So they're not finding really any big drop-off, any drop-off at all in terms of lap time. So this could actually be a huge advantage here to Bo Albert and Bailey Sweeney, because they're not going to have to deal with 2 or 3 laps if their tyres come out to 10 with them losing pace.
Yeah, certainly will be interesting to see what happens, although then again, they've gone a lot longer, but at the same time, pitting on the last lap might actually do them more harm than good, because they're going to be on basically ice cubes around this track for a whole entire lap, while everybody else is going to be on up to temp and up to pressure tires. So it's, I'm not sure. This is going to be really intriguing to see whether this works or not.
Very intriguing indeed, and I'm sure Scotty McQueen is hoping that 39 seconds is not enough of a buffer to come out in front of him, because that would be quite the final lap if any of these drivers comes out in front of someone else on their ice-cold tyres. Sweeney has pitted, Albert has pitted, and in tandem they come down into pit lane, maximising all of the last little bit of pace they can from that pit entry, and they'll come down, they'll take their 2 tyres, and we'll eagerly await to see where they come out. But while they make that pit stop, let's go back in the pack to Ashley Norman and Lenny Nobili.
Yeah, solid battle going on here for the minor positions at the moment down the back straight. It's not quite going to work in Billy's favour though, so you have to back out and hand it the position to that Chicken Up Racing car, unfortunately. And looking at this battle at the front, those 2 drivers of Sweeney and Albert yet to drop off the jacks, while McQueen is coming through the final corner. Sweeney's off the jacks now and is away, but this is going to be very close. I think
Sweeney rejoins right behind him, And with that cold tyre, I don't think he's going to be able to get there. Bo Albert's going to rejoin behind Reese Gardner, but truly in front of Thomas Hins and Dean Ross even. So that means that Albert rejoins in 5th, Bailey Sweeney rejoins in 2nd. The big battle here is between Ryan Jarek in 4th and Reese Gardner in 5th. Albert 6th, that means.
Yeah, so yeah, Reese is really on for a very good result. He's currently at +10 from his starting position. He'll be wanting to make it +11 at this point because it's relatively good, but could even possibly be on for a podium if Sweeney's tyres aren't quite up to temp in the next lap or so. So will really be interesting to see what happens here and whether Sweeney really does end up going backwards quite a bit or whether he can manage to hold on or not.
It's going to be tight indeed as the clock winds down to 25 seconds. This may be our final lap of the race. And Reese Gardner is quickly running out of time to get by Ryan Jarrett here. As out front, Scotty McQueen has been unchallenged for the most part. Gakoga appears to have disconnected from what was a 3rd position as Scotty McQueen will come around that final corner and should be seeing the checkered flag this time by everyone that got close to him. Found issue at the final corner, and Scotty McQueen has taken back-to-back victories here in round 3 of the Australian Turbo Touring Car iRacing Series. A great round from him. Bailey Sweeney picks up 2nd. Jarek was able to hold off Gardner in 4th. And Gakoga means that everyone moves up a spot because he has, in fact, disconnected. He'll be disappointed by that one as the rest of the field filters across the line. And there's no big battles that I can see coming to the line. No craziness that we saw at the end of the last race.
Just as you say that, Cameron Stubber is in a relatively tight battle still with, looks like Tommy Saunter-Chan and Martin Houston. There is still one. You're a little bit early, but nevertheless, that battle between Stubber and Saunter-Chan for that final top 20 position is definitely heated. But now the battle is going on for 4th. Reese Gunner with a huge lunge at the hairpin, not quite able to go. So appears to be that he's not going to give it up just yet.
So that wasn't the final lap? So they're still racing, and I'm putting the sole blame of that on Jay Kennedy behind the scenes. And he said he's going to take it. So, for the 2nd time running, Scotty McQueen comes around the final corner. He's drove a great race and all the rest of it. Back-to-back victories this time by for Scotty McQueen. And judging by that, it's definitely the last lap of the race, and that is checkered flag for Scotty McQueen.
Yeah, certainly.
And there's been no position changes on that lap, so this feels like Canada F1 all over again. It's the final lap for the 2nd lap in a row. No big positional changes on that lap. I don't think there's really any overtakes in that lap. Whoa, what about that? Who's that in the grass? Or the dirt or the gravel? Ashley Norman almost, it seemed, edged out of room by Jackson Harlow coming through the final corner. He will finish 15th. Harlow will take 15th. Norman will take 16th. As we go back through the field, Brock Caddy will come across in 24th place ahead of Sam Ross.
Yeah, appears everybody else is pretty much on it their own and has managed to hold on to
Nice racing
where they
tonight,
are.
guys. Can I get the
Actually,
podium across to the
looks
Simspeed
like they
Discord
might
channel for
have
post
no,
race
they actually
interview?
hasn't. So seems
Driving
everybody
getting a little bit
has
more
indeed
aggressive
finished.
each
But
week,
yeah,
guys, so
really,
just
really
wanted to
interesting
kind of
battle
get a little
in there
bit,
for Reese Gunner and Ryan
if
Jarrett.
you
Reese
need something
nearly
to look
pulling
at
off the podium, but not
post-race.
quite.
But yeah, other than that, there is some fantastic driving there.
Almost,
There's a couple of drivers that
but
are
not.
probably getting a little bit too aggressive.
Not quite. And that wraps up an overall very, very good round of racing. Race 2 results from round 3 saw another victory for Scotty McQueen from Bailey Sweeney, Ryan Jarrett, Reese Gardner to Bo Albert, much improved in race 2 to claim 5th. Dean Ross, Thomas Inns of 6th and 7th, Martin Turner 8th, Dominic Ferraris 9th, Mitch Dean 10th.
Just outside the top 10 Simon Mazomo, and then not too bad of a recovery for Mitch Martin after going off earlier on. Hayden Veld in 13th, followed by Darren Whittington in 14th. 15th will go to Jackson Susan Harlow after that massive shunt earlier on before Ashton Norman in 16th. Lino Billy 17th. And we go back to the rest of the top 20 with Daniel Tell, Martin Houston, and Cameron Stubber.
21st was Thomas Chun. 22nd, Ross Stallon. Jason Markowski coming home in 23rd. Ahead of Brock Cat-Eye and Sam Ross in 24th and 25th. Jay Hansen 26th. David Leslie and R. Felberg 27th and 28th. Top 30 was rounded out by Nathan Addison and Jacob Knight. Cruz McVie was the final car in the lead lap. And then the drivers that had some big issues, Cameron Cousins finished a lap down. Greg Hoger finished a lap down after his disconnect in the final laps of the race. Bruce Ross 34th, Hamish Cleland 35th, and Ryan Kolstad is your race control that you would have heard throughout the broadcast in the background. And we should hopefully have some interviews this time around. We do. Reese Gardner's there, Jarek Say McQueen's there. Let's grab Scotty McQueen, who drove pretty much flawlessly today as Scotty McQueen. Congratulations. The first back-to-back race winner in a round of the Australian Turbo Touring Car Series. Got it done pretty well today.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. We got pretty lucky, I think. I think it was Mitch and Tim both behind me going off on the last corner. I think they had pace on me, so it was really
Dropping some
lucky.
oil.
Yeah, it cracked me up. They both went off in the same corner.
Yeah, it was amusing for some, probably distressing for others. Unfortunate indeed. Robbed us of a fantastic battle, I'm sure, for the lead of the race. Allowed you to almost sort of walk away with it in the second one. Did you have any idea of the battling going on behind you in both those races?
Nah, not a clue. I'm looking forward to sitting back and watching the whole race tonight.
It was an absolute... I don't know how to describe it. It was wild back there. You were pretty much the only driver to be completely unscathed in both races. You qualified well. You qualified on pole for both, I do believe. And that means that you led every lap of the race, barring pit stops. Your pit strategy, did that go how you wanted it to? Did you adapt anything there? Did you take note to Bailey Sweeney and Bo Albert deciding to go to the very last lap of the race?
Yeah, I was expecting Bailey to follow me in, and when he didn't, I was a little bit worried and thought he might have a better strategy than me. But the race ended up a little bit shorter than I thought it was going to be, so it worked out quite well.
Funny you say that. It was a lap longer than all of us thought it was going to be. You'll understand that when you watch the broadcast back. What did you think of that strategy then to wait to the last lap? Do you think it's worth it with not having to, do the 2 or 3 laps with the tires cold, or do you think it's not worth it?
I don't really think it's worth it because that outlap is really slow and you lose a lot of time on it. So if you're sort of trying to make a battle out of it and you come out on cold tires, you're not going to have anything. So I think a couple of laps before the end, you want to at least get them warm and have a crack at it on those last couple of laps.
All right, I doubt we'll see you put in the last lap next race then. Looking forward to the next race. What are your thoughts on round 4 of the series? Are you looking forward to it?
Which
Strong
track is it?
It's
Is it Bathurst?
Bathurst? Phillip Island?
Oh, sorry,
I feel horribly underprepared right now. It's one of those two. It's Laguna Seca.
Oh, that should be interesting.
All right.
Definitely not one of my good tracks, so I'll probably be further down the field, I would imagine.
All right. Well, I'll hold you to that. If you are back in the comments box next week, I will never trust anything you say ever again. But I look forward to seeing you battle then next week. Before I let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, Ira. Got to thank Ira for putting the series together. It's been a ton of fun and it's really good. The way the strategy works out in the second race and the 10-minute race, it's good fun.
Should be a brilliant affair then for the rest of the season and hopefully into future seasons. Thank you for joining us today. We'll probably talk to you next time.
No worries, thank you.
Cam, I would let you take your pick of the half a dozen drivers down there in the interview room. Who do you want?
You've given me a very solid choice. I I think we'll go with our nearly our podium finisher. We'll go with our people finisher. Reese, not too bad of a second race that one. You nearly had a podium, but not quite.
Yeah, just about. I mean, race one didn't go to plan for me at all. Got smacked around a bit more than I wanted to, so I kind of wrote that off. But when it came to race two, I thought strat is just to pit early, get some clear air, and let the tires do their work. And that ended up working out for me at the end, battling for third. But I got a bit too greedy on the brakes. I think if I'd been a bit more careful there, I might have had him around the outside. But who knows?
Yeah, certainly. Well, with that pit stop, we did see you pit quite early. Like you said, it was mainly to get into that clean air and did seem to work for you. Did you sort of question the strategy of the likes of Bailey Sweeney and a couple of others pitting really, really late? Or did you think that the early stop was really the way to go around here?
For me, the early stop is definitely the way to go because I reckon the pattern that's emerging in this series is that if you're back in the pack, pitting earlier is generally better. I mean, if it works out for the guys in front, good for them. But for me, pitting late's not really an option. Who knows? With the way this championship is going and the tracks we're going to be visiting, maybe pitting late will be the best strategy.
Yes, indeed. Well, with Laguna Seika being at the next round, it will probably certainly help you having that earlier stop. So, how much are you actually looking forward to?
Well, Laguna Seca isn't really a track that I enjoy driving at the best of times, but it is pretty fun in these TCR cars. It's been a while since I raced one of these cars there, but I got a good understanding of the car now, much better than I last drove Laguna Seca the week the car came out. So bring it on. Looking forward to it.
Well, fair enough then, Reese. Well, before we let you go, shout outs and thank yous.
Yeah, well, my team's Fusion Sim Racing. I want to thank D Carter Plastering, Eclipse Signage, and Dripping Paint Graphics for their support. And make sure to like Fusion Sim Racing on Facebook as well. Cheers, guys.
Well, there you have it. The fourth place getter, Reese Garner. Ryan, your pick for the next.
I like a bit of controversy. So, let's drag Jason Harlow up here. Hello.
Hello.
Let's see. What are your thoughts on what happened there, Harlow? Talk us through that incident from your perspective.
I reckon it's two of the worst races I've had in my life. But yeah, second race, first race was shocking. It just stuffed quali. Started in the backpack, got smashed into a few times, and didn't get track position. And yeah, second race qualifying was a bit better. Kind of stuffed my lap, which was a bit frustrating. Outbraked myself, which lost me a fair bit of time. But yeah, I was just comfortable sitting behind Dom. I wanted just to jump him in the pits. I knew that my strategy this week would have been pretty good. So yes, tried sitting there, and then Dom made a couple of mistakes. So I thought, got to get past him, or we're just going to lose the pack. And yeah, I thought he was honestly running off in the grass. So yeah, I got next to him. I thought I left him enough room on the exit. From my view, okay, he turned into me. Okay, I probably should have left him more room. But honestly, when I'm trying to get focused on getting past him and trying to get through that corner, it's not a too wide corner. And yeah, I was, I don't know. I just couldn't see where he was, and yeah, it was just a bit of a weird one.
It's just one of those things. You can't always be perfect, and last week you were almost perfect. We know you're a really talented driver. So in terms of overall picture, championship-wise, Scotty McQueen went back-to-back today. Thomas Hens didn't have a particularly good race. McQueen's going to be right up there in the championship. You would have obviously dropped a decent amount of points. You're still holding out a bit of hope to come back strong. Next week is Laguna Seca. We finish off the season with Bathurst and Phillip Island. Are those three tracks where you're confident you can claw back decent ground and maybe still take it out?
Yeah, we'll see. Like, the championship was going to be a bit hard after I got that 20-second or 27-second penalty in race 2 at round 1. So that would have come out of the round probably first or second in the points, or just behind, and ended up being like 6th or 7th. So it was hard from there, and then we got some points back last week, and this week we'll probably be in nowhere. So yeah, we'll see. Like I'll definitely do Bathurst, and that I love Bathurst, and Bathurst is a real driver's track, which is really good. It's like you got to be committed or you're going to be slow. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Bathurst, and yeah, we'll try and start getting some results because yeah, this season so far has been pretty shocking.
Well, if there's one thing I know about you, I know about your team, is that you're never not at the front for very long. So I'm sure we'll see you back probably next round, to be quite honest with you. Before we let you go, any shout outs you want to give? Anyone you'd like to thank, the sponsors or anything?
Yeah, yeah, just thanks to all the Altus boys. Sorry I couldn't get it done tonight. Bo had a pretty good run, so yeah, good on him for that. But yeah, just horrible 2 races tonight. So yeah, we'll move on to the next one.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for coming up and talking to us. Probably a little bit on the unhappy side at the moment, but thank you for that. And we have just about got time for one more interview, I believe. And we will grab in Ryan Jarek. He finished in 3rd place in race 2, and he's standing by with Cameron Dance.
Ryan, not actually too bad of a night for you overall in podium in race 2. So yeah, you can't be too unhappy with it.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I'm pretty happy with that one. It was a little bit bittersweet in race 2. I think I only got a podium because my teammates had drama, but overall pretty happy.
Yeah, well, obviously your teammates having it drama all at the same corner as well, unfortunately. And with the way that the pit stops were working, it was kind of interesting to see some pit late and some pit early. What sort of strategy did you have in mind when you went into race 2?
I think I planned to pit somewhere around the middle. Just kept stretching it on a little bit as I had a bit of a draft from Bailey in front, I believe. So I think we were winging it a little bit. So I'm glad it worked out all right.
Yeah, it certainly did. And Laguna Seca, next round for the fourth round of the championship. You looking forward to it?
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's not one of my stronger tracks, but yeah, with help from Mitch and the guys at Eclipse, I think we can get up there again.
Well, fair enough. So before we let you go, just any thank yous and shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, absolutely. Just a big shout out to Eclipse Sports and all the guys there, and to Mitch for working so hard through the week. I don't think I could have done it without him. Also to you guys for the broadcast, and to Ira and everyone behind the series. It's been great so far.
Well, thank you very much, Ryan. And 3rd place in race 2. Ryan, pretty solid night of racing. Very, very exciting. Very, very close as well. And a lot of drama to add to it. So what Laguna's going to hold for us?
More of the same, I would expect, I would hope. I mean, it's been 3 rounds of incredible racing, incredible action, and some wild moments. Laguna Seca is a wild track at the best of times, so should be brilliant. Let's wrap this one up, though. That will about do us for tonight. We'll look forward to the next few nights for Simspeed TV. Got to thank the sponsors. Thank you to Simfinity and to RMS Race Management Service for their support of the series, and title sponsor support of the series. Thank you to RFLberg for getting it up, going, keeping it running, doing all the behind the scenes stuff that we all find so boring. But Ira has done a fantastic job of it for us. We look forward then to Friday night. The Xfinity Series is back on Simspeed TV. On Saturday, the Porsche iRacing Cup goes racing on the iRacing Esports Network. And then on Sunday morning, special event, the Major Series Clash at Daytona, preluding the Daytona 500 at 7 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So get up early if you want to check that one out. That is all 3 regions as well, so that should be a fantastic race. And then, of course, next week we head to Laguna Seca, as it turns out, for the Australian Turbo Touring Car iRacing Series. Should be a good week. Should be plenty more action. Make sure you like and subscribe if you want to see more. As always, stay tuned. From myself, Ryan Jones, from Cameron Dance, and from Jay Kennedy. Thank you, and good night.
fantastic. This is GT Racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?